Hi guys, how's everybody doing? I know everybody is asking where have I been? I'm getting lots of emails from you guys. Thank you for your well wishes and asking about me and all. And I have a lot to say and a lot to tell you guys. My mother was having a procedure done on her heart. I knew in the past they had talked about it, but I wasn't, I didn't know she was going to do it on Wednesday. I don't know why no one told me. This was kind of like an outpatient thing that they were going to do and maybe stay overnight. But she didn't really anticipate staying overnight. She didn't even pack any pajamas. She didn't pack nothing. But they were going to put a watchman in her heart, because she has AFib. I don't know why they didn't just use a blood thinner. I'm not sure why. I wish I would have went to the doctor with her. I would have, questioned her doctor like mad, but she's going to the doctor by herself. She does everything by herself. She's very independent, very strong-willed, very difficult. So my sister did know, my older sister knew that she was going to get this Watchman procedure put in, and they do it kind of like the same way they put a stent in. They go through the aorta. Well, I found out that day that they were doing it, and like I said, I didn't know till she was already in the operating room. And the doctor made an error and tore her aorta, and she was bleeding out. And so when I found out, they're saying that mom might not make it and that she was bleeding out and they weren't sure they were going to be able to save her. So they saved her. They had to call in a surgeon to come in and repair the damage. I don't know what they do in between the time the surgeon has to get there, but her kidneys started shutting down and she's been on dialysis. So for the last 2 weeks, she's been in ICC, intensive care, cardiac care, and she's been there for 2 weeks solid. She's still in there right now, y'all, and she had the procedure last Tuesday. So she's been in there a little over 2 weeks and not doing well at all. Like I said, she hasn't. She's confused, and we haven't had a coherent conversation with her since the procedure happened. And she has been very aggressive and fighting with everybody. You guys, this woman has gone totally crazy. Like I said, she can't keep her eyes open. And we asked them what they were giving her for a sedative, and asked them to change things around. Maybe she's not sleeping well. Something's going on. She's so confused. She don't even know why she's there. Although we've told her time and time again, she really doesn't understand why she's there. She's hallucinating. She's seeing things. It's crazy. And I told the doctor, have you checked to see if she's had a stroke? Because that is not my mother there. We can't, communicate with her at all. She doesn't know what's happening, what's going on. She's talking crazy. I mean, she's totally crazy. She's a crazy lady. This poor woman, they have put her through pure D hell. Now, I know they did save her, but she's been so agitated and not being able to understand why she's there, so they've had to tie her down. She's been tied down, days and days in a row. She's pulled out her line. She pulled out her catheter, just pulled her catheter all the way out. We came, she had blood all over her hands and everything. We're like, what happened? And they're like, she pulled her catheter out, it must have hurt. Then, she's having dialysis because she's not putting out enough output of urine. And now how can they measure the urine? She pulled it out, and it's such a big fiasco. They wanted to put a feeding tube in her. Gosh, she had been there for a few days and she's not eating or nothing. And they decided to put a feeding tube. And I mean, they hurt her so bad because she fought them. They didn't give her anything to sedate her, nothing. And she fought them tooth and nail. And we went out of the room because, we couldn't stay in there. Her nose bled and bled and bled and bled. She's getting, she's getting a blood thinner. So of course it did. And just went down in her throat and nose. So the feeding tube turned into a suction tube because all they could do was suction the blood out of her stomach. So They didn't really get to feed her. They said they put some Ensure in that, but they had to suction it all out. I don't think she even got anything because all they did was suction it. Suction, suction, suction. She's coughing up blood, coughing up blood. That's all I've done is wipe her mouth 1,000 times a day. There's a little suction thing that people, can use to get the phlegm out of their mouth. She's too incoherent to use it. She cannot even use it. And it's simple. You just put it in your mouth. She can't use it. She won't use it. But she does say, I want to go home. I want to go home. And she tries to get up. She tries to go. She tries to leave. She tries to get out of the bed. She tries to take, she can get up and walk. They won't let her because she's in ICU. And she's like, I want out of here, And she knows who we are. So she calls my name and says, Trudy, I want to go. I want to go. Help me. Help me. Help me. Help me. And she says crazy things like, they captured me. And, she's got everything all mixed up in her mind. And it's so sad to see her going through this horrific experience, Anyway, get back to the CAT scan. I asked for a CAT scan. Me and my sister both. We decided to talk to the doctor. I mean, we've had, you guys, there's lots and lots of issues I'm not even saying right now. But I said, I think she might have had a stroke. And they're like, nah. She doesn't need a CAT scan. The doctor said to me, we don't expose seniors to the radiation. You're not, we don't do that. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? You can give her a CAT scan. I don't know if she thinks we're totally stupid. And I'm just looking at her like, are you stupid? The next day they come, another doctor comes and says, we're going to do a CAT scan on her this morning. So they took her in for a CAT scan. Guess what? She had had a stroke. And they're saying, well, we don't know when this stroke happened. And I said, what do you mean you don't know when it happened? Well, we can't tell. It could be an old stroke. It could be a new. We're not really sure. And I said, if she would have had a stroke, we would have known. Her family would have known. If she would have had a stroke, we would have noticed, right? We're not stupid. And I said, what's the difference, on the CAT scan? What does an old stroke look like? And he said, well, it's, we see a little imaging. And I said, well, what if it's new? What's the difference? Well, if it was new, it would be we would see swelling around the stroke. There'd be a little swelling in the brain. I said, okay, what does a stroke look like after a week? Oh, well, the swelling's gone down and, it just looks kind of like, and I said, kind of like it does now. And this happened 2 weeks ago. So you're telling me this couldn't have happened 2 weeks ago? And you just told me it could. So the doctor came out and said to my sister when he tore her aorta, I made an error. He said that I made an error. So all this is because of the doctor's error. He admitted it. He said it. And, they did save her life. But they broke my mama. They totally broke my mama. She is not the same person anymore. She's going to go to rehab as soon as the insurance goes through. We were hoping she would be moved yesterday. But, of course, the wheels turn very slowly. And maybe she's going to be there sometime today, but as soon as they get approval from the insurance, they're going to move her downstairs to rehab. And they're saying, oh, she's confused because she's elderly. She's 81. And, she's been in the ICU too long. And this is what happens when you're in ICU too long. My mother woke up like this the first day in ICU. It wasn't because she was there for 2 weeks. She already was like this when she woke up. She has not changed since she woke up from this procedure. So, I feel like they're just blowing smoke. It's just so annoying. It's so annoying. So we've all been trying to take care of her and visit her. It's very, very hard because she's fighting with everybody. She told me, I went in there one morning and she told me that a man crawled in through the window last night. She said, she called him something. I forget the name. It'll come to me in a minute, but I think it was an actor or something. And she said, They crawled up the building and came in through the window and tried to get in bed with her. She's 81 years old. And she said, and I kicked him and I got him the hell out of here. I'm like, well, good. We've realized that when my mother says something, if you tell her no or you tell her she's confused, she gets really agitated and upset. So now we're like, well, good. He'll never come back. Don't worry. We had security look at that and he's never coming back. Just give her peace of mind. She believes everything. She's like, look, there's a cat right there. There's a cat in the room. She's hallucinating and seeing things. It's so weird. She's eating a little bit, not a whole lot, but they're giving her Ensure. The doctor ordered her Ensure. It took them 2 days to get her Ensure. One day we were waiting there for her to get her lunch, and I haven't been there every single day at lunchtime, but last week, one day, it was 3 o'clock, and her lunch still had not come. And they had brought her breakfast, like 7 o'clock in the morning, and it was 3 o'clock and no lunch. This hospital is Kingwood Hospital in Texas, right outside of Houston. That's all I got to say. She didn't want to be there anyway. She really didn't, but she had this procedure because her doctor told her that's where she needed to go. One doctor came to me and asked me, why was your mother having this procedure at her age? Why didn't she just have blood thinners? He asked me, did she fall down a lot and stuff? Because sometimes when people fall a lot, they can't take a blood thinner. And I said, no, my mother never falls or nothing. She mows her own grass. She rakes her own grass. She cooks her own food. She does her own laundry. She makes her own bed. She takes care of herself. She drives her own car. She does her own grocery shopping. She does everything that me and you do. She is a strong-willed lady, strong-willed. And he didn't even understand why she had that procedure done. So it's really, really difficult, you guys, really hard. She has 5 children, and we've all been there, back and forth, up and down. I have a sister that lives in Dallas, and so she needs to go home for a little bit, and then I'll be there. My other sister works full-time. She lives there with her, but she works full-time. Don't get off till 6 o'clock, so she can't go to see my mother till after 6. And then I have another sister that's there that has chronic leukemia, and she's, very exhausted all the time, and she can't go up there a lot. So it's kind of falling on me, my 2 sisters, my brother and sister. So the 3 of us, we're kind of taking turns going back and forth. So I came home. It was my turn to come home. And I'll be going back tomorrow. So I've been home for a couple of days, and my husband was so happy. And I'm like, don't be too happy because I'm leaving again. And he's like, what? Because we've got a lot to do. We're trying to hire an attorney. My mother, like I said, she's so strong-willed. She doesn't have a will. She doesn't have anybody that she's given power of attorney to in case something happens to her. Her husband died last December, and she should have taken care of these things, especially knowing that you're going in the hospital, having a procedure. Like I said, I didn't know, and my other sister didn't know either. If we did, we would have tried to put these things into place. She's very difficult to talk to. She wouldn't have resisted giving us power of attorney. She would have. Now we need power of attorney, but now she's not of sound mind. We don't know how to get it. So we're trying to talk to an attorney. What should we do? The hospital has told us what to do. They told us to download the forms, bring a notary to the hospital, and have her sign over power of attorney so that we can get her the care that she needs and that we can take care of her financial needs. Somebody's got to be able to do that. And we nominated my sister to do that. We're like, you can do that. I don't want to do it. My brother doesn't want to do it. So only one sister's able to do it. She's okay with doing it. So, but now my mother is out of it. She's completely out of it. And they're saying, well, sometimes she's a little more lucid than other times. And maybe we can talk to her at a lucid moment. We're like, okay. So we call a mobile notary to stand by if she has a lucid moment and we can get her to sign these papers, right? Well, it's not happened. It has not happened. And we did call a notary, and they didn't call us back for like 6 hours. So we're like, that's not really going to work. And it's it's the error of the staff of the hospital that has put us in the place that we are. And we feel like that the hospital ought to be helping us a little more. Since they told us we needed a notary, and they have a notary in administration at the hospital, they do. And we said, if my mother has a lucid moment, could the notary come up here and notarize this real quick? She's right there at the hospital. It's just a couple flights up, And they said, no, we won't do that for you. We're like, it's y'all's fault. She's here. Not the hospital, but the hospital staff, meaning the doctor. But we're not getting any help from them at all. So I don't know what we're going to do, y'all. I really don't. I really, really don't know what to do. It's terrible. It's a terrible situation. If my mother had the chance, and she's crazy and out of her mind, she would jump in her car and start it and try to drive it. She would. She really, really would. And that would be horrendous, with her hallucinating and all that. And if we don't have power of attorney, we may not be able to stop her from doing that, because she could call the sheriff could be called and it would say, do you have power of attorney? Do you, have they taken anything? So, I don't know. What do you do in these situations? She's very strong-willed. I have to keep saying that, y'all. She's very strong-willed, and even though she's lost her mind, she's still very strong-willed. She's still screaming and hollering. You guys, she had an incision in her chest. She kicked her legs up all the way almost to her shoulders. We're watching her kick. She's so strong. She got so mad at me the other day. She was sitting in the recliner chair, and she had her feet up, and she said, Trudy, put my feet down, put it down, move. She didn't even know what it is. She's like, move this, move this. And I go, why, Mom? She goes, I want to go. I want to go get in the car. And I'm like, you don't have a car here, and if you tell her things like that, it makes her mad. And she has an alarm on her chair so that if she gets up, the nurse comes running. And I told her, you have an alarm on your chair, Mom, and if you get up, it's going to sound. And she's so confused. I did not, I said, you can't get up, you can't. And I bent down to her, I crouched down so I could be at level with her face, and I was talking to her as sweetly as I could, that, Mom, you need to stay here. They're helping you. They're caring for you. And she tried to hit me. She's hit her nurses too. She has slapped a nurse in the face. She scratched this guy, made him bleed. Oh my God, she's called him all kinds of names. Terrible. And then she tried to punch me in the stomach because I stood up and got away from her. And she just was like, pow. She tried really hard, but she missed me. She got air. And then she was trying to get up, and I put my hand on her. I put my hand like this. She grabbed my arm, and she started twisting my arm. And she was this twisting. She is strong. And I was laughing. She's strong. And Cindy, my sister Cindy, she was like, pull your arm away. And I'm like, if I pull my arm away, she's going to fall out of the chair. I'm just waiting for her to finish her twisting, She wasn't hurting me, but she was very strong. And I was laughing, and it was making her mad. But, it's kind of funny. She's so angry. She doesn't understand. And I'm like, Mom, they're helping you here. It's going to be okay. Anyway, she had all these ports in her neck too, for the dialysis, these temporary ports. They were bothering her so bad. It was terrible. And she kept trying to pull them out. That's why they were holding her arms down, because if you pull out a port there, you could bleed out, And they took them all out. And even though her creatinine is still pretty high, but she's putting out quite a bit of urine now, so they haven't done dialysis in like 3 days. So yay! They were going to put a port in her chest, and they decided not to do that. So hopefully her kidneys are starting to kick in and come on. So I don't know if any of you guys have experienced anything like this with your loved one. Maybe if you could give me some advice. We really don't know what to do. We have talked to an attorney, and he's told us what to do also, get those papers signed, but we just don't know how to do it, Maybe once she goes to rehab, maybe we can get her doctor to come over there and talk to her, and we can have a notary there, and maybe he can talk her into signing them. I don't know. But somebody's going to have to take care of her. That's definitely, we can't take care of her at home when she's acting like this. I don't even know how we would do it. You wouldn't even be able to go to sleep, you'd have to have an alarm on her door or something. It's just nuts. Anyway, so that's what I've been doing, just kind of taking care of my mama, and she just went through such a terrible, terrible time. Terrible time. They had to put her CPAC on her face the first day she was there after the surgery. She has pneumonia too. Forgot to say that. She's got pneumonia also, so they had to put a CPAC oxygen on her and force oxygen in her lungs because she wasn't breathing deep enough. And she was just screaming. And they had it on her ear. Her ear was like this. They had it on her face so tight, and it looked so uncomfortable, and she was crying. She was crying, and it was hurting her. And that was when I first got there, and oh my gosh. And she had just started dialysis. At the very beginning, she was on 24-hour dialysis. They did 24-hour dialysis for 3 days because her kidneys just shut down. And they had this on her face. And like I said, I think she'd had a stroke, and her head was hurting. That is one thing. When the first time that she sat up and she didn't have a mask on and all, she was like holding her head. My head hurts. My head hurts. But it was so sad that when I first walked into her room and saw her with that mask on, and she's trying to talk, and you can't hear anything they say because it's blowing so hard and everything. You can't hear her. So, of course, what do I do? Because, I'm me. I pop the mask so she can talk to me and I can hear her. And the guy's doing her dialysis, he's just setting it up, and he's looking at the numbers, and he can't talk to us or worry about us. He's focused in on that, and I'm focused in on her. And she's so agitated and crying and everything, and it's breaking my heart. And I'm like, Johnny's like, my husband Johnny, he's like, you better put that mask back on her, and I popped it back on her, but I'd let her take it off for a minute so I could hear what she was saying. It was just so sad, y'all, so sad. So that was heartbreaking. It was really heartbreaking. I've had a difficult relationship with my mother, and but I'll tell you, when you see somebody going through so much trauma and so much pain, it doesn't matter what kind of relationship you ever had with them, especially if it's your mother, everything drops to the side, and you're just got to do whatever you got to do to be there for your mother and to take care of her. I can't stand seeing her hurt, 81-year-old, and she's still like that, y'all. She's still muttering and groaning and not making any sense. So I don't know what we're going to do. The doctor told me that in 30 days, we'll have a baseline to see where she's at, and that will kind of give us an indication. And then in 90 days, if she hasn't improved, she's going to stay like that. I'm like, what? Y'all, you broke my mama and you're not going to fix her? You better fix my mama. I don't know if she can come back from the stroke or not. It's right frontal lobe. So it's where all your emotions are, and agitation, and the confusion. She just can't put anything together. And we keep telling her what happened. She doesn't understand. She doesn't know. And now just like I said, we just placate her and try to make her feel reassured of the things that she's saying. Like, you see a cat, we tell her, that's just a shadow. You're seeing something, yes. That's just a shadow. It's not really a cat, it's a shadow, things like that. She had asked me one day, she said, where's everybody? And I said, well, they were here last night. Everybody was here last night. And she mocks. Everybody was here last night. Oh my gosh, y'all. She's I don't know, she's so mean. She always has been a mean person. So this is kind of like, there's no, what do you call it? No inhibition. There's no inhibition, and she just says whatever, she wants. Her doctor, her surgeon that saved her life and fixed this defect in her heart and saved her from bleeding out, he comes in there every day. The first day he comes in there, he talks real loud to her to get her attention, and she responds very well to men. So he's talking really loud to her and saying, are you ready to get up? Are you ready to walk? And she's like, yeah. And then she looks at him and she goes, do you work at Sam's? And, the surgeon, he's got quite an ego on him. And he goes, do I look like I work at Sam's? And she's like, no. And he goes, I work at the hospital. And I'm like, Mom, he's your doctor. And she's just like, next day he comes in, and this is what she says to him. He says, Nell, are you ready to walk? And she's like, yeah, I want to get up. I'm going to walk, Every time he comes in, it's like she's trying to do whatever he asks. She has a big smile. She responds really well to him. She will do his commands, and then as soon as he leaves, she's like in another world again. But she told him, you look like a Pollock. And I'm like, and he didn't say nothing to her then. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she said that to him. She just has no filter. Filter is completely gone. She's like a little kid, So it's really crazy, really is. So, anyway, I'm going back up there tomorrow. So there's a lot going on in the world. I know that. I'm not watching news. I'm really not watching news. I've watched a little bit since I've got home, and I know, things are heading south for Trump, which I know we're all happy about. We shouldn't be happy if somebody, but he's done so much damage to the country, so I'm happy that things aren't going well for him. And John Eastman, the architect of the coup, so he's got a trial going on right now in California. They're trying to disbar him, and I think they're going to be successful. But even if they're successful disbarring him in California, he's going to practice in other states. But I feel like they are going to be successful doing that, because I pulled some cards and I had looked at it earlier today when I was going over it. And, there's rules, and he knows them very well. And he's not, he didn't want to follow the rules. He wanted to be real tricky. And, he actually pushed Pence to, break the rules. And yeah, I think he will be disbarred. I really do think he'll be disbarred. But that's just in California. So, I don't know if that's going to be a big deal for him or not. But he'll be able to practice in other states. But I think it's going to happen. But I really see that his attorneys are working really hard. They are fighting this big time. They're doing everything they can. They're really fighting it really, really hard. So putting up a very strong defense. And I think the trial's been going on for a few days. I don't know what's going on with it now. I don't even know if it went on today or not. Like I said, I haven't really followed too much news or anything. I heard about it a little bit, so I pulled some cards on it. But I think he'll be disbarred in California. And he should be, right? He should be disbarred from every state. And you'd have to go, to every state bar and go through it. So we'll see if they'll do that. All right, guys. So that's where I've been. I do have free time in the evening. So if you'd like to get a reading with me, or if you would like to have a healing session, oh my gosh, I've tried to do healing session for my mom at the hospital. It's almost impossible to do because you get interrupted. And my mother sees me there and she wants to talk to me. So it's really difficult. And nurses coming in and out and in and out. But I'm doing a healing session for her since I've been home. I've done a couple of them. And they did say today that she's not agitated like she was. That she's still a little ditzy, but she was real calm. So I'm very grateful for that. Anyway, if you guys need some help, I'm still available to help you guys. If you would like to get a reading with me, or if you need a portal closing or energy cleanse in your home, I'm happy to do that. I've actually done quite a lot of work in the couple of days that I've been home. I did yesterday and today, and I have to work. It's hotter than hell here. It's over 100 degrees, and already electricity bills are going up. So got to keep working. So if you guys need some help, let me know. I'd love to, I love to do readings. I love to do healing sessions. I came home and my husband, I don't know what was going on with his stomach. He kept complaining to me, my stomach hurts. I don't know what it is. My stomach hurts. And I hear him complain a lot. So I kind of blow him off a lot, unfortunately. But when I decided, hey, I need to do a healing session for him. So I did a healing session for him and stomachache was gone. And he's always so grateful. And he's even though he asked for a healing session and he wants one, he's always so surprised when it works, you know. It's like my stomachache is completely gone. It's gone. I don't know what it is, but it's gone. And even when he woke up, I did it at night right when we were going to bed. I did the healing session. My hands always get really, really hot, so he always knows that that it's working. It's always like, "Hey, your hands are hot." And he woke up the next morning and he goes, "My stomach was hurting so bad, and after you did that, it was gone, and I haven't had a stomach ache since." So, you know, I think it probably is better if I'm able to touch somebody. I think maybe that helps them. Not so much is needed, but it could help them. You know, kind of click for them and turn on the healing. Anyway, if you need a healing, let me know. I'm happy to do that. I do the healings for free. I don't charge for them. If you want a more advanced healing with the chakra balancing and a more thorough, that's more time consuming, I'm happy to do that. And people do need that. And also, it's an energy cleanse with that too. So you do a chakra balancing and an energy cleanse, and then the healing session on top of it. And it works very, very well. So if you'd like to have that, let me know, okay? I'm taking my computer with me this time to my mother's, so I'm available in the evenings. I didn't have my computer with me while I was there this past week, but I'm taking everything with me this time. I'm taking everything, so I'm available, okay, you guys? All right, I better go now. It's 32 minutes. Getting tired of listening to me. Love you guys so much. Thank you for listening and tuning in. Y'all take care. And I will be back soon. I promise. Love you. Bye for now. Do something kind for somebody. It'll always come back to you. Bye for now.